to the ASU Blue Ridge section for hosting. You're doing just a great job on offering this webinar series to those that are interested in attending. I'd like to start by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the attendees. And this webinar today is going to share a formula for success that can be applied to any size and type of organization at any stage of the life cycle. You're going to learn about an integrated excellence model that has implementation guidelines for the user, an accompanying toolkit that can be used to address issues facing the organization or support the entire excellence journey. And you're going to learn about how ARMATURE Fabric, an intuitive quality management platform, can be used to support the excellence journey. So you might be wondering, what is an excellence model? You're not alone, as global research tells us that only 10 to 20% of the working population is familiar with excellence models. Even myself, I did not learn about excellence models in the normal course of my professional development, earning a Master's of Business Administration, earning a Certified Management Consultant designation. And when I discovered these models, it was like striking gold. And it really added value to my consulting practice and, in turn, my client organizations. What I found is that excellence models provide a formula for success. Over 25 years of research now has shown us that if you successfully implement the best management practices that are contained within an excellence model, you will develop a culture committed to excellence and achieve exceptional results across a balanced system of measurement. What I love about excellence models is they provide a nice big umbrella under which everything that we do in management consulting or in quality fits. Underneath that umbrella, we've got quality approaches such as ISO standards, and we've got tools and techniques like Lean and Six Sigma, and everything fits underneath this umbrella. And in over 30 years of management consulting, I've noted that excellence models help to answer most issues that are faced by organizations. Now, working with organizations over the past 30 years to address their issues and implement an excellence model, I've put together a turnkey toolkit that supports the excellence journey. And the toolkit can be used by internal professionals that are working within organizations, let's say as a quality manager or to train other employees in the organization. And it can also be used by external professionals that are working with a large number of organizations to assist them, whether it's with their issues or with the journey to excellence. And the toolkit includes all of those components that we can use at each step of the consulting process or at each step of the excellence journey for an organization. We've got scenario games to pique interest in the topic. We've got a publication that provides the foundational information for the entire toolkit. We've got workshops that will support the entire excellence journey or support improvement in a key management area. There's an automated assessment and reporting tool that saves time and money. And there's a train-the-trainer program for professionals that wish to use the tools. Finally, there's also a benchmarking index so that organizations can compare their culture of excellence and their deployment of best practices to others by size, industry sector, and country. Now here's a picture of the Organizational Excellence Framework. It's an example of an excellence model, and what I've done in creating this is I've integrated the leading excellence models that we have around the world. While they have a lot of practices in common, they do have their unique features, and so I wanted to put this all in one place. And the this diagram shows the key components of the excellence model. There's the inner ring, where we have the principles or the culture that is committed to excellence. And these are the principles that characterize that culture. In the outer two rings, we have the key management areas. And these key management areas house all of the best management practices in each of those areas, and also the performance measures that we use to gauge how we're doing in the key management areas or for the organization as a whole. And of course, we have the continuous improvement methodology that we use to improve our performance in these key management areas or for the organization as a whole. And this model is unique. It not only integrates the leading excellence models that provide the definitions of these best management practices and principles, but it fills a gap in the literature that we've had to date in that it answers the most frequently asked question that I've ever received from client organizations, and that is how to implement a given management practice. So in putting this publication together, I wanted to integrate what we have learned, through excellence models, but I'd also wanted to add the implementation guidelines that are used by seasoned management consultants. So what this does is it provides the what and the how for the user. There's 2 scenario games that have been developed. One of the games compares the current state and the future state of the organization and provides a path forward. And this can be done in a half day. And similarly, there's another scenario game. Again, it can be an exercise that's done with a group that takes about half a day. And this one examines decision making and the consequences of decisions. The automated tool automates the assessment and reporting process. Along the left side of the screen, you have the statements. And on the middle part of the screen, you've got your rating scale. And if you hold your cursor over the statements, up comes more information about that statement so that everybody's rating the same thing at the end of the day. And similarly, if you hold your cursor over top of the rating scale, there's more information that comes up that gives you the definition of each point along the rating scale. The users input ratings and their open-ended comments, and then the system aggregates the information, creates dashboards, and delivers an action-oriented feedback report. And users are multifaceted, really. It can be a quality manager, it can be a consultant doing work with an organization, it can be a leader. You can invite all employees in an organization to participate in the assessment, all members of an association. And when all of the ratings and open-ended comments are aggregated, the report that is delivered is in an editable Word format and can be further augmented with analysis, findings, and conclusions. You can bring in best-in-class examples, and you can even speak to the alignment of what you're doing with your strategic imperatives. An organization, or let's say an association, can have their own place on this system to do assessments as well, so you can monitor performance over time. Now, in terms of the workshops that's been developed, there's 2 types of workshops. This is the first type, the holistic workshop. And there's a workshop for micro-size organizations and a different one for larger-size organizations, because there's a varying number of practices, of course, that have to be in place. And when you take the holistic workshop, you learn about all of the research validating excellence models that's been done over the last 25 years, some of the key studies that have really emphasized how an excellence model can be applied to any size or type of organization and deliver exceptional results. Then there's a review of the Organizational Excellence Framework publication so that you have a good understanding about how to use the publication. Then there's an opportunity to do a self-assessment. Firstly, against the culture of excellence in your organization, and secondly, against the deployment of all the best management practices. And both these assessments deliver feedback reports. And the full assessment that gives you information on both these topics gives you an improvement plan, and it's action-oriented. So you've got not only your ratings and open-ended comments summarized in the feedback report, you have an improvement plan going forward to address gaps, and it's comprised of action plans with implementation guidelines. And all of these action plans can be delegated to people within the organization so they can be part of the excellence journey going forward. Now, these holistic workshops provide a high-level overview of the principles and the key management areas. And the workshops can be customized as well for the audience with pictures, quotes, video clips, best-in-class examples, hands-on exercises. And so you can make sure that the workshop is just right for the industry sector that you find yourself in or are working with. Now, the modular workshops are a little bit different in that they focus on a key management area, and there's 9 key management areas. And we often find that organizations have, they might be doing quite well in some of these areas, but might need to do a little bit more work in some other areas. And so what we need to do is take a deeper dive. We generally start with a full assessment of an organization and then take a deeper dive into a couple of these key management areas where they need to do a little bit more work. These workshops go through the best management practices in the particular area. You're able to create an improvement plan to address the gaps or the things that you need to be working on or the things you need to be implementing. And so you've got that self-assessment process and the improvement plan for this particular area that you might be doing work in, which is similar to doing the full assessment. But these modular workshops provide a much more in-depth look at the best management practices and the implementation guidelines, so the organization has a good path to follow going forward. And it's important to note that these workshops can be delivered at the per diem rate of the professional. Now, the Train the Trainer program is available to professionals that want to use the toolkit. And it offers a lot of flexibility so that you can be an unlicensed professional or you can be a licensed professional where we provide a seal of approval to deliver the tools. Those that become licensed and earn a designation have to complete an exam and demonstrate they can facilitate the workshop at a reasonable level. And the trainer can use the toolkit as an internal employee in an organization, let's say that's providing a training program, or as a consultant that's working with many organizations. The whole idea here is that we put the tools into the hands of good professionals so they can use the tools in their region or they can use them within their organization and customize the workshops for their audience. We also have benchmarking as part of the toolkit, and we're working on a global research study right now that was launched by the Organizational Excellence Technical Committee that is part of the Quality Management Division at ASQ, and it's also been supported by the Global Benchmarking Network, ISO Technical Committee 176, and the International Academy for Quality. And this study is giving us a read on the current state of organizational excellence by organization size, industry sector, and country. So the first time we're able to see along a continuum of excellence from those that have never heard about excellence models or don't know anything about this to those that are very sophisticated and have been applying an excellence model and getting exceptional results. We're getting a good read along this continuum about where organizations are at in terms of the deployment of these best management practices and where they're at in terms of the principles that characterize the commitment to excellence in their organization. Now, it's interesting to note that most research to date has focused on high-performing organizations and their profiles. So we really know quite a bit about best-in-class organizations, but there's not been any research that's been done along this continuum of all organizations. And as you might guess, most organizations fit along that continuum. There's very few that sit at the top. So this index that we're developing is very important, and it's going to be great for benchmarking so that you can really see how your organization compares to other organizations by size, industry sector, and country. And in addition to leading this research study and maintaining this index, I'm also on the board of the Global Benchmarking Network, where we do work with organizations around the world. And we help them to find benchmarking partners, or we do educating about the benchmarking process and help facilitate that with different organizations so they can compare and learn from others. And I'd like to share with you today the implementation process that we generally use when we are doing work with organizations. And it's a very simple and straightforward process. We start off by making a presentation to leadership so that they understand a little bit more about organizational excellence and the process that we run through, and we get their commitment to proceed. And then it's very important to transfer knowledge to other people in the organization. And so we provide an information session or a training session with all employees, or a good cross-section of employees, so they better understand this area. And then we do the self-assessment. And this is where we're going to identify the strengths of the organization, the opportunities for improvement, and we invite all the employees in the organization, or let's say all the members in an association, to participate in an assessment. And they go through and they rate the statements and provide their open-ended comments, and that helps us generate an improvement plan to address gaps. Once again, an action-oriented improvement plan. And this gives them the path forward for implementing what needs to be done so that they have got a good management system in place at the end of the day. Now, often they needed a little bit of help, and we're there to provide additional assistance as required. It might be coaching, it might be training, it might be rolling up sleeves to help on small projects. It always varies with organizations. Some organizations have got all the talent they need within to be able to propel themselves forward without much help from us. And the ongoing continual improvement efforts are part of the model. They're embedded in there. So if any of you are wondering about that, we've got continual improvement activities within the model, such as asking employees for ideas and suggestions, benchmarking with others, working with customers, suppliers, and partners to analyze our processes and make changes aimed at improvement. So all of these sorts of practices are already in the model, and the organization is set up very well for continual improvement. And what we found is this implementation process really helps accelerate the formula for success. So we have organizations that are implementing the best management practices, they're developing a culture committed to excellence, and they're achieving exceptional results across a balanced system of measurement. And of course, they're celebrating progress along the way. I've worked with many different size and type of organizations over the years in this regard. And some of these organizations have even earned national excellence awards. And generally what I've found is that when an organization does this sort of work, that in year one, I hear people in the organization saying things like, gee, we're really getting rid of a lot of duplication, or we're really improving our communication. So everybody in the organization really knows an awful lot more about the organization, the role they play within it, the direction that organization is going, how they're contributing to it. And in year two, I hear them saying, oh my goodness sakes, all the work that we're doing here is really contributing to bottom line results. Year three, I hear them saying, we're getting good results across a balanced system of measurement. And by year four, there's really no turning back. They've got a good management system in place, and it's really become the way the organization does their work. So I'd like to say thank you for your kind attention, and I'd like to open it up now to any questions that you might have for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it over to Nathan Lynch for a presentation on ARMATURE Fabric, which is a very intuitive quality management platform that can be used to support this excellence model, of course, and the excellence journey. But let's open it up to any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you, Dawn. We're going to pause here, give folks an opportunity to put questions that you might have into the chat box, and then we'll take a look and see what we have. Dawn, it doesn't look like we're getting any questions, so I don't know how much longer you'd like to pause for.
Well, you know what, I think let people absorb what has been discussed, and let's turn it over to Nathan for his presentation on Armature Fabric, and then we'll pause again at the end for a few more questions, just in case some other things have come to mind for the participants.
Okay, we can certainly do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change him over to be the presenter. Nathan,
right,
are you ready
Norval,
to go?
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
All right, excellent. I'm just going to make sure that you can now see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I will get started. I'd like to first just say thank you so much to Dawn. We are extremely excited and proud to call her a partner, and every time we get a chance to work with her, we feel that much more invigorated about quality and about organizational excellence. So thank you, Dawn, very much. Secondarily, I'd like to say thank you so much to Norval and the Blue Ridge chapter of ASQ for inviting us here and giving us the opportunity and the platform here to share about Armature. And then thank you all to all the attendees. We appreciate your attention. Thank you very much. So my goal over the next few minutes, and I'm really planning to take less than 20 here, is just to give you an idea of, to really build on what Dawn just shared as far as organizational excellence goes, and how a software solution such as the one we're about to show you can help you achieve those goals. So I do have to make fun of the fact that I have a picture of myself here. This was a marketing person, and I apologize for that. And then, of course, you can't get away with using the word evangelist unless you are a marketing person. So while I am passionate, I don't know that I'd ever call myself an evangelist, so I'm just going to say the marketing person is to blame for that one. Let's go. I'm going to go to the second slide here. And my goal here with these slides is just to give you an overview of who we are and what Armature brings to the table. So this is just a quick overview or summation of Armature. We've been around for quite some time. We are currently the leading provider of accreditation management systems for the accreditation world, and we are also expanding our business now in the market of quality management. And I think what you'll see, hopefully over the next 15 to 20 minutes, is that we're not only a quality management solution, but we also have a solution that can support an organizational excellence framework. We have several customers globally, so I did hear there might be some people from around the world. We work with people in all countries, in many countries, and on all continents. And then this is just an overview if there are any techies on the call to give you an idea of what our system is built on from a technology stack. So the last piece of my introduction is just to give you an idea of where we fit in from an organizational excellence framework. So in building this, this presentation for you, I actually took all the 9 areas, key management areas from Dawn's presentation, And I highlighted these two, work processes and suppliers and partners. But as I got further along in creating this demonstration for you that I'm about to show you, I realized quickly that we actually probably help in all 9 of these. So my goal over the next 20 minutes or so is to really not show you our system and not be an advertisement for Armature or our solution, but to actually show you how our system can support the organizational excellence framework. We've partnered with Dawn to bring a digital component to her framework and tool set. So the reason that our system makes sense to the framework is simply because it's not just a quality management system, but it supports all of these factors. So I'm going to go ahead and click over from this and click into my, hopefully you guys can now see the screen, and this is the dashboard for our solution. So I'm now actually in our solution. It is a web-based solution. It can be deployed through the cloud or on premises. So we're actually using the one that's on the cloud right now. And I'm going to start with what I consider a relatively well-used process when it comes to any organization that is dealing with quality with suppliers. So that is a supplier corrective action. So in our system, we have a very common villain called super bad, and our system does give you the ability to search anything with anything that's built into the title. So I'm going to search super bad, which is a supplier, and then I'm going to search the supplier corrective action, and that should give me the super bad supplier corrective action. So I'm going to pull this up so you can see what this system does from a management standpoint when it comes to the process. This is a process that we built in the system. It should give you the ability to obviously see all the different steps that we've built in the system. You also have the ability to build a process from scratch and then change any process you'd like at will without calling a help desk, without any coding. Our system gives you the ability to actually build, change, create, and modify processes as you go. So just as an example, I'm going to pretend that I am a manufacturer and I'm in business with super bad suppliers and super bad corrective. I've deployed this corrective action. 4 of these steps have been done. It's now my turn to fill out this root cause analysis, so I'm going to fill this out. Once we click in here, you'll see it's an online form that gives me the ability to fill out a few things in about a second here. Sometimes it takes a minute to wake up. You'll see we have a form that basically is built online. It's customized to whatever you want it to grab. These fields here are typically filled in through configuration of your system, and then I'm just going to go down here and say, all right, here's our expected outcomes. My expected outcome is the customer's happy. This was a huge problem. The incident duration was 1 week, and here's the description, big deal. SLA miss was yes, and we'll leave it at that. So I'm now going to ask my supplier to fill out the rest of this. So I'm going to save this. Once I save this, I'm going to actually click out of my system, change personas, so you can see what our suppliers or what your suppliers would see and give the ability to affect that same form online. So I'm going to go to here, change my persona. This is actually not something that most of our users are able to do. I'm going to go in as an organizational representative as part of super bad suppliers, and then you'll see here, here's the supplier corrective action, and over here is what I am needed to do, the root cause analysis. So this is the exact same form that was just filled out by me as a manufacturer, and these are the things that were put in by me as a manufacturer, and then this gives me the ability to say, as a supplier, what business unit was impacted, and so on and so forth. So I can easily just fill this in. I can add a row, and then we can spend a lot of time here obviously going through this, but the ability to interact in a predefined, customized form is what our system allows you to do with your customers, or suppliers, and customers in a lot of instances as well. So I'm now going to get back out of this, and I'm going to go back to the staff screen so you can see a few more highlights of what our system does from an organizational excellence standpoint. So when we get back into the system under the staff portal, I want to take you through, because again, what I just showed you was a pretty common quality process that was run. But what I'd like to do is show you a process that maybe isn't as common from a quality standpoint. So this gives you a little more insight into the flexibility of the system, allowing it to really support the organizational excellence framework. So I'm going to take a look at onboarding new hire. So here's I put this in this morning. This is a new hire onboarding. So again, giving you an example of what our system does from a process standpoint. So it doesn't have to be a quality process. It can be just about any process that your organization needs to run, which is why it does such a nice job of supporting that organizational excellence framework. But this just gives you an idea of, in this case, I have uploaded the back page of my employee handbook. It's already been signed. I've uploaded it, and now I'm waiting on Jackie, Human Resources, to come in and confirm this. Now, in my demo environment, I can confirm it because I'm an administrator and I can do all of this. In a normal environment, obviously wouldn't. But once you do this and confirm, it completes this task and it moves to the next one, giving you the verification of, again, just like the other one, the verification page has been uploaded, and now we're just waiting for Johnny Manager now to confirm that this has been provided. So that's basically gist of process management and running a process that's not necessarily a quality process. Last thing I'm going to do is give you just some insight into our online form builder. So one of the things, besides the ability to really configure processes, one of the things that is also different about our system is the ability to make online forms. So again, in a fashion that is not extremely quality-centric, I have created a new hire application, and I've deployed it to myself so we can show you here on this demonstration. So this new hire application I built this morning, took me about a half hour, and the goal here would be to link this to a website, and then any of your people that are applying for a job would be able to fill this out online. The system would capture the information and then feed it back to whoever needs to see this. So one of our features of our online form builder is that we do have the ability to continue to add rows as many as needed. And that's just part of being built in a vertical fashion. So I'm going to click out of this, and I'm just going to cover a few more quick things. And again, my goal here is to tie them back to organizational excellence. So if you think back to the 9 key management areas that Dawn spoke about in her presentation, one of them was governance. And one of the things that makes our system very strong when it comes to the organizational excellence is the governance piece. We have the ability to create standards, and here's a very common standard that everybody knows, the 9001-2015 standard. So you can take any standard that either your organization has created or is a governing body standard, put it in our system, and then compare it against, and then hold your people and your organizations accountable. So obviously this is a very abridged version of the 9001 standards, but it gives you the ability to, it gives you the idea of understanding what it is that we can do from a standards standpoint. When you look at customers and employees, we do a really robust job of capturing processes, instruments, documents, training, all of that per person in our system, as well as per organization. So if you look at each organization individually, you'll see we are tracking all of these things that occur in day-to-day life as well, and then tie them back to each organization, which again is a big part of organizational excellence. One of the things I'll never forget, my dad used to say is always inspect what you expect. So again, from an overall performance measurement and leadership involvement standpoint, if you look at some of the things we can do in the system, for instance, insights, this gives you the ability to see all of your issues, how they're trending. We actually have a pretty robust parts module as well, so if you're tracking just parts individually, you can do real-time DPM, you can track defects by part throughout the supply chain, throughout the types of parts, and then of course over time as well. Again, the goal here is just to give you an idea of how our system can help you become terrific when it comes to organizational excellence. Lastly, I want to just show that we do have a document management system. Document management for us is, for the most part, our customers use this to really control the SOPs, which again go right back to organizational excellence. So, taking about 15 minutes, in closing, what I'd like to do is just take you back to our setup tab and just kind of close out with by reiterating that while we discuss quality a lot and we focus our marketing efforts on a quality management system, the reality is with a built-in configurability and no code at all, you can do a lot of your business processes right through our system, allowing you to really achieve organizational excellence and follow the framework that you would learn from Dawn's program. So I'm going to close by taking you back to my closing screen here. And I'm going to open this up to any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Nathan. We'll pause here momentarily to give folks an opportunity to put questions into the chat box. While we're waiting, we'll go ahead and remind everyone once again that our next webinar will be 1 week from today. It'll be on Tuesday, July 31st. It'll be Counterfeit Culture, Developing Robust Quality Practices to Prevent, Detect, and Mitigate Counterfeit Components. That will be with Cheryl Tolkoff. She is the Director of Corporate Quality and Continuous Improvement at National Instruments in Austin, Texas. This will be Cheryl's third webinar for us in the last 2.5 years. So we're glad to have Cheryl back again with us next week. Okay, so waiting for questions. Well, Nathan, I'm not seeing any oh, here we go. First question, is Armature Solutions Part 11 compliant for the pharmaceutical industry?
Yes, that's a good question. Yes. I don't know. I'm sure the person asking the question probably knows this, but a software package cannot be Part 11 compliant. However, it can allow a quality process or quality system to be Part 11 compliant. So yes, we have the ability to meet Part 11 compliance through the processes that are built by the customer.
Okay, the next question, is your system a validated system?
Validated by who? By whom? By ISO? I'm assuming it's by ISO, and the answer to that question is, again, we have customers using it that have passed ISO standards. So yes, it's been validated that it does work.
Okay.
Support that.
Okay. The elaboration to that question: has the system been tested to assure it does what is intended to do?
Yes. Yes, third-party testing, which we have available. Whoever's asking that question, if you'd like more information, feel free to reach out.
Okay, can you share your contact information maybe on the screen so that we can see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Let me. Yeah, that's a good point. I did not do that, did I? Sorry. Give me 2 seconds. All right, that should do it. I'm now going to show this screen. There we go. Norval, can you see that?
Great. Yeah, I can see it. Hopefully everyone else can too. There's Nathan's contact information. Thanks, Nathan, for sharing that. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next question here. Are there various levels of configurability and costs for this system? Example, basis at a low cost or a higher complexity at a much higher cost?
That's a very good question. I would encourage that person to reach out to me. And the best way to answer that question is simply, when it comes to the system, we have deployed it in a SaaS-type fashion where there's very little back-end support or back-end coding or changes or customizations or integrations, and it's literally 2 weeks and you're up and running. And then we've also deployed it where it's integrated with 5 or 6 different systems, and it's heavily not customized but configured through developers. And obviously the cost associated with that level of engagement is much higher than the more SaaS type, software as a service type of engagement. But we do offer both, and the configurability built in out of the box is the same on both. It's really about what level of data migration, integration, and then in some cases customizations that are requested or required.
Okay. Move on here. See if we get the next question. We'll pause here for just another minute or so. Does anyone else have any questions? Well, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, Nathan. Does anybody have any questions for Dawn on what she spoke about earlier that she might be able to answer? Well, it looks like we don't have any further questions. I guess if folks have questions that they think of later, hold on here just a moment. Okay, Dawn, question for you. What did you say were the 3 levels of the organizational excellence model? Could you please repeat those?
Yes, the diagram shows a picture of those levels, and in the interior part of the diagram are the principles that describe a culture that is committed to excellence, and the outer 2 rings house the key management areas that we find in every organization, and within each of those key management areas are best management practices that are important to that area. And, of course, the measures that we're going to use to gauge our progress in how we're doing in each of the key management areas, and the measures that we're going to use for the organization as a whole. And what the focus here is a little bit different than we find in quality and quality management, where we're using approaches and tools and techniques to help an organization improve its performance. The focus here is just a little bit different. It's a much more strategic approach to help an organization move from its current state to its desired future state in alignment with its strategic direction. And I think it's really important to note that we're using the language of management. We're using the language that management uses every day in organizations throughout the world. So it's a little bit more user-friendly, just like Armature Fabric is more user-friendly. And that's what we're trying to do here, is provide a one-stop shop for people, something that's user-friendly, something that is easy to use, something that uses a language that is common in organizations around the world.
Okay, thanks. Yep. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin's comment is that's perfect, and he loves the model.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. I'll tell you, after 30 years working in this area, I just was really striving to make this conversation that we have with organizations easier to understand, more simple and straightforward process, and then I was really striving to make it more time efficient and cost effective. And so that's what I've bundled up here in terms of the entire toolkit. And I really want professionals around the world to be able to use it. And, using this toolkit, and then if, you need the technological platform like Armature has to provide that additional support. I mean, we've got everything wrapped up here in a nice package with a big bright red bow on it for you.
Okay. Any other questions? We have less than 3 minutes before we hit the top of the hour. So we do have a little bit of time left if anybody does have a last-minute question that they'd like to ask. Nathan or Dawn, do you have any final comments?
I'll just start by just saying thank you so much for everyone's kind attention, and really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share what we've been working on and want to contribute back to the quality community. And if there's management consultants online, it's great for management consulting. I think we're all in the business of helping organizations improve and get where it is they want to go. And these are some additional tools that can assist in that journey. And I'll just turn it over to Nathan for any additional comments he's got too.
Thank you again, Dawn. The only comment I have is thank you all very much. I appreciate the attention. Norval, thanks so much for setting this up. And Dawn, thanks for taking the time to present your model. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank you both for being with us today. We really appreciate your both presenting for us. We're going to go ahead and I think wrap things up for this time. Would like to thank both of you once again, as well as thank everyone for joining us. And as was mentioned earlier, our next webinar opportunity will be 1 week from today on the 31st of July. We hope that many of you can join us then. It'll be 12 noon Eastern Time, and we hope to see you at that point. Until then, we'd like to wish everyone a great rest of the day, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.